Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. General Hospital Weekly spoilers find fighting for his life after a vicious attack during the 2 weeks of December 9 to 20, 2024. Meanwhile, a dirty secret comes out and someone heads down a dangerous path on GH. Check out the latest spoilers for the ABC soap opera. General Hospital spoilers confirm Dex Heller is stabbed with a knife soon, and by the end of the week, his girlfriend, Jocelyn Jax, gets life-changing news. Next week, he's still clinging to life unless things take a surprising turn and he dies. Hopefully, Dex pulls though, because if he doesn't, fans will be in an uproar, especially Jex fans. As if that's not enough, Joss also witnesses the fallout of a new scandal with her family. In addition to Jocelyn Jax, Eden McCoy, awful news about Dex Heller, Evan Hofer, a bombshell drops on her family. This week, things are already tense at the Quartermaine Christmas party. Then, things get worse when someone plays the video footage of Drew Kane Quartermaine, Cameron Matheson, getting it on with Willow Tate, Caitlin McMullen. Indeed, Michael Corinthos, Chad Doyle, thinks he's the only one with the footage. However, it's unlikely that Michael Corinthos puts the video out there on General Hospital. So it seems someone else gets their hands on it, likely Tracy Quartermaine, Jane Elliott. Also, her good friend and cohort Cody Bell, Josh Kelly, is probably in on it with her. The two of them are working together to destroy Drew, and soon, Tracy makes a giant mistake, so she may leak the naughty video. Also, Drew turns to Nana Reeves, Cynthia Watrous, for help at some point. Then, she delivers a warning, most likely to Drew. Later, Drew has some major explaining to do, no doubt, about the video. Also, his ex-girlfriend, Carly Corinthos Spencer, Laura Wright, flips out on someone, and most likely, it's him. Then, she intervenes to protect someone. Meanwhile, Sasha Gilmore, Sophia Matson, brings Maxie Jones, Kirsten Storms, up to speed. Meanwhile, Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Mancy, keeps plotting against Ava Jerome, Maura West, on GH, and soon, she might come up with something because Ava and her attorney, Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst, get an unwelcome shock. Later, Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard, and his gal pal, Natalia Rogers Ramirez, Eva LaRue, celebrate. So, even though Ava received a not guilty verdict at her trial, she may still be going down on General Hospital. However, that might mean that Christina gets far more ruthless, and it could come back to bite her. Elsewhere, Isaiah Gannon, Sawandi Wilson, opens up to Jordan Ashford, Tanisha Harper. Then, Trina Robinson, Tabiana Ali, gets a shock from Kai Taylor, Jen's Austin Astrup. Later, Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, grills someone, and Elizabeth Weber, Rebecca Herbst, is in disbelief. So, Liz may be the one Anna is interrogating. GH is wildly intense over the next 2 weeks. Don't miss a minute to see if Dex Heller lives, or if his time on the ABC Sudzer is up. The normally bustling halls of General Hospital felt eerily silent in the dead of night. Dim lights reflected off the polished floors, and the faint hum of machinery filled the air. Somewhere in the chaos of Port Charles, a battle was brewing, but within these walls, the only fight that mattered was the one for Dex Heller's life. Dex's body lay motionless in the operating room, his chest rising and falling with mechanical precision. Tubes snaked from his mouth, and monitors beeped steadily, a fragile tether to the world of the living. Outside the room, Jocelyn Jax stood frozen, her arms crossed tightly as if trying to hold herself together. Her normally fierce blue eyes were clouded with tears, and her lip quivered despite her best efforts to stay strong. "How bad is it?" she demanded, her voice trembling as she turned to Dr. Portia Robinson. The seasoned doctor hesitated, glancing toward the closed doors of the OR before meeting Jocelyn's gaze. "It's bad, Jocelyn, Portia admitted softly. The bullet nicked an artery. He's lost a lot of blood. We're doing everything we can, but it's touch and go. Jocelyn felt the floor drop from under her. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Dex was supposed to be untouchable, always one step ahead of danger. But tonight, something had gone terribly wrong. Dex knew the risks of working for Sonny Corinthos. Life as an undercover operative came with its share of close calls, but he'd always prided himself on his ability to stay cool under pressure. This time, however, he felt a knot of unease twisting in his gut. Sonny had tasked him with infiltrating a new rival mob family that had recently made waves in Port Charles. The Novak faction, once thought dismantled, was regrouping under a new leader, ruthless, unpredictable, and determined to claim Sonny's territory. Sonny leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. It's always a setup, Dex. The question is whether you're smart enough to outplay them. Dex met Sonny's gaze, trying to gauge his boss's confidence in him. Sonny was a man of few words, but his expectations were clear. Success was the only option. Jocelyn, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, shot him a sharp look. Dex, you don't have to do this. Let someone else take the risk. He turned to her, his expression softening. It's my job, Joss. Besides, this is the best way to keep everyone safe, including you. Her eyes flashed with frustration, but she didn't argue. She knew better than anyone that Dex was stubborn to a fault. Still, the uneasy feeling lingered as he walked out the door, leaving her with nothing but a whispered promise to come back. The meeting with the Novaks took place in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Dex had rehearsed his cover story a dozen times, but the air was thick with tension as he stepped inside. He was greeted by the Novak leader, a sharp-dressed man named Victor with a shark-like grin that didn't reach his eyes. "You've got guts showing up here," Victor said, circling Dex like a predator sizing up its prey. "But guts don't mean loyalty. Prove you're with us, or you're against us." Before Dex could respond, the trap was sprung. Men with guns emerged from the shadows, surrounding him in a semicircle. He reached for his weapon, but the odds weren't in his favor. A single shot rang out, and pain exploded in his side. He staggered, clutching his wound as the world blurred around him. But Dex wasn't one to go down without a fight. With a burst of adrenaline, he fired back, taking down two of his attackers before making a break for the door. Blood poured from his side, each step feeling heavier than the last. By the time he stumbled into the alley outside, he could barely stay upright. That's when Sonny's men arrived, guns blazing. The cavalry was too late to prevent the ambush, but they managed to drive off the remaining Novaks and get Dex to safety. Barely conscious, he mumbled Jocelyn's name before everything went dark. Back at General Hospital, the surgical team worked tirelessly to repair the damage. The bullet had lodged dangerously close to his heart, and the blood loss was severe. Portia, leading the team, barked orders with laser focus, but even she couldn't hide the strain etched on her face. Outside, Jocelyn was joined by Carly, Michael, and Sonny, each grappling with their own feelings of guilt and fear. Carly placed a comforting hand on Jocelyn's shoulder, but her words felt hollow. Jocelyn nodded, but the lump in her throat made it impossible to speak. She couldn't shake the memory of their last conversation, the way he'd smiled at her, full of confidence and resolve. She wasn't ready to lose him. Hours later, Portia emerged from the OR, her scrubs stained with blood. The grim expression on her face sent a ripple of dread through the group. "He's stable for now," she said carefully, "but there were complications. The next 24 hours are critical, if his body doesn't respond to treatment." Jocelyn clenched her fists, anger bubbling to the surface. "This is Sonny's fault," she spat, her voice shaking. "Dex wouldn't be in that operating room if it weren't for him." Sonny didn't flinch. He'd heard the accusation before, but it still cut deep. "Dex knew the risks," he said evenly, "and he made the choice to protect you." "That doesn't make it right," Jocelyn shot back, tears streaming down her face. She stormed down the hall, leaving the others in tense silence. In the early hours of the morning, Dex stirred. His eyes fluttered open briefly, and his lips moved as if trying to form words. Jocelyn, who hadn't left his side, leaned in close, her heart leaping at the sight of him awake. He managed a weak smile, his fingers twitching as he tried to reach for her hand. The moment was fleeting, but it was enough to reignite the spark of hope in her chest. As the hours passed, his condition slowly began to stabilize. The doctors were cautiously optimistic, but the road to recovery would be long and uncertain. When Dex was finally moved to a private room, Jocelyn sat by his bedside, her hand entwined with his. She'd spent 2 days thinking about all the things she wished she'd said to him, and now she wasn't going to waste another moment. "You scared me," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper, "but I'm not letting you do this alone anymore. Whatever comes next, we face it together." Dex's eyes softened, and though he was still too weak to speak, the gratitude in his gaze said everything. In the shadows outside the room, Sonny watched quietly, his expression unreadable. He knew the fight with the Novaks was far from over, but for now, Dex had won his battle. And in the world of Port Charles, victories, no matter how small, were worth celebrating. This blend of drama, suspense, and emotional stakes mirrors the tone of a soap opera, delivering a compelling story where Dex's life hangs in the balance, while deepening the relationships and rivalries that define General Hospital.